Welcome back to the United Pubcast, the podcast of the official Man United Supporters Club here in Sydney for a podcast that should have been in the making early June, maybe even late May, early June, definitely July before the pre-season tour. But here we are 2 days out from transfer deadline day, and Erik ten Hag has finally got his number one target. Well, Frank de Jong or Antony, we can decide who was the number one target, but ultimately in that attacking third of the pitch, Antony, there's no secret, Erik ten Hag has got his man. I think for potentially double the price of what he's potentially worth. I think we'll have many discussions around that, but we don't have the official photos or anything yet. I think he's due in Manchester soon for his medical. But Fabrizio Romano and all the reliable journalists who have been on the button this whole transfer window, from The Athletic, Andy Mitten, David Ornstein, Laurie Whitwell, etc., have all confirmed this deal that is about to happen. So, Larry, give me your thoughts on our new Brazilian winger.
Forget the price tag, Tom. You have to be happy with the signing. Just purely, let's look at his attributes. And cheers to all those in the comments. If you're happy with the Antony deal or imminent deal, make sure you do hit the like button on the video. But Tom, look at his attributes. Last season, overall, over 40 goal contributions. In terms of, I think it was around 20 goals, 22 assists, if I got those numbers right. Forget the price tag. If you're looking purely at someone who's quick, good dribbler, tricky, and the best thing I like about Antony, he's unpredictable. He's got flair. If I were to compare it to a former United player, would it be fair to say he's in a mold of a Nani? Obviously, he's an introverted winger, but flair, pace, and the unknown. Now, that can sometimes be a curse and a blessing. But I think all in all, you have to be happy with the signing. The price tag, though, it's going to bring pressure.
Yeah, look, I completely agree. I want to stay away from the price tag. However, 100 million. Now, look, I think that's the way here we're using the euro symbol here in the title of the podcast, but I think that is one thing. If it's a Chelsea signing,
£85 million.
Yeah, if Chelsea's £85 million, Liverpool's £85 million, Manchester City's £85 million, Manchester United's €100 million. That is the way it's going to be reported. So he's a £100 million player. That's how it will be reported. So that is a huge pressure on the player himself, which we'll get into his ability to deal with that. But also Erik ten Hag. Now, it's not Erik ten Hag's fault that we've spent this much money on him, but ultimately it is his man. So it's not Erik ten Hag failing with Marcus Rashford or a Scott McTominay or a Harry Maguire. He's putting all these eggs in this basket for Antony. So we will get into that. But I'll just say good day to some people in the live chat. Chris, good to see you. As always, mate, Viking Football YouTube, good to see you, mate. Make sure you go over and subscribe to Viking Football. George here saying, hey, lads, Antony's done. I think we really needed someone that isn't what we already have, which is what Larry was alluding to. Left foot, rapid, 100 million. So let's see what it can do in the next few years. Hopefully 200 million. Well, who knows who's the most expensive foot? It'd still be Neymar. He went for a little bit over 200 million, didn't he? But Chris here also saying, honestly, has anyone watched more than highlights of him? I've got no opinion on him other than Erik ten Hag. Other signings have been very good so far. So yeah, look, we'll get into Erik ten Hag and this whole issue where it comes in and around the Glazers, and that is still a discussion, and I think rightfully so. But whatever we think of the Glazers and the board's backing of Erik ten Hag in terms of getting proper business done, ultimately the result has been the correct plays in terms of what Erik ten Hag wants, which is an interesting discussion. Sully, good to see you, mate. Mike, as always. Sully saying, great to see United getting some business done with time to spare in the window. Will be interesting in the next couple of days. Does look like obviously Dubravka will come in at some stage, and the murmurings from those sources also suggest a potential right back. Now, I don't know any right backs linked with Manchester United at the moment, so that'll be definitely one to keep keep an eye on. Adam here saying, I think we need to forget about his price because otherwise we're going to be expecting 20 goals and 20 assists a season. And Justin, good to see you as always, mate. Just two more here. I haven't seen a chat for a while. Evening, Si. Hope you're well. Considering the pace of the Premier League, does Antony need to bulk up and time to settle? I think that'll be one of our discussion points in regards to what type of player is he, how can he sort of benefit United, how will he struggle, because he's a young player coming in all foreign league. And Ian here's saying, where do you rank their league in comparison to the other leagues? Just on that point there that Ian makes there, Larry, in terms of the Dutch league, there's been these huge things since Erik ten Hag has came in. He's only looking at players that he knows. Rightfully so. I'm sure any manager's doing that. Every manager should be doing that. But he's only getting players from the Dutch league. And there's this huge thing. Well, I think I wouldn't say has started a narrative, but Gary Neville has sort of come out and said not many players from the Dutch league come over and succeed in the English Premier League. And we look at, I think, the highest success rate for a player coming into the league is from Spain. And the actual lowest success rate is potentially the Dutch league. Now, Personally, I don't buy into that. I think a lot of those things are just coincidence. Each individual player has their own traits and abilities. It doesn't matter what league they do come from. You see players come from Serie A and be woeful. See some come in and be brilliant. So personally, I don't buy anything into that. But you, in terms of this transition from the Dutch league to England, just your general thoughts on it.
I mean, I've watched enough Eredivisie to know that it is actually quite a physical league. I think it does compare with the Premier League in some ways. I'd say it's not as physical and it's not as fast. In terms of where do you rank it, I would say that in terms of technical ability, it's quite high. It's a really difficult one. I mean, to answer Ian's question, I think, how do I word this? I think the transition to the Premier League from the Eredivisie is actually easier than, say, from La Liga, because I think that there is an element of physicality to the game. And technical ability as well. I'd say La Liga is a much more technical league, where who's a player who would struggle in La Liga but does well in the Premier League? Troy Deeney. I think he'd struggle in La Liga, but I think he absolutely kills it in the Premier League. So it's an interesting one. I mean, but you only have to look at, I know it's early days, but look at Martinez, look at Malacia. They've seemed to have taken to the Premier League quite well. So who's to know? I mean, in the past, though, we've seen players struggle. We'll only know based on the player's quality. And I think if he hits the ground running, then we're going to say it's a great transition. If he doesn't, then we're going to say, oh, look, he's only a Dutch League warrior. So wait and see.
Well, Chrissy, there's so many different things I want to look at in regards to Anthony. Obviously, the player, and that's obviously us as football fans. When the window closes, we're going to be looking at the player. We're going to put in our own sort of ideal starting 11s and who drops in, who drops out, where are you going to play Anthony, what's he going to bring. But ultimately, we can't shy away from the deal and how this has come about. And Chris brings up the point here. So Edwin van der Sar got the deal over the line and he doesn't even work for us, signed the man up as director of football. Now, would this deal have happened in terms of the way Man United have gone about it if there was a different CEO? Potentially not at Ajax. We maybe do owe a lot, or Erik ten Hag owes a lot to Edwin van der Sar in terms of the patience shown, because Ajax could have really, I don't think they could have in terms of the money on the table, but ultimately they're sticking by their principles and the way they do business. They could have been sort of rightfully keeping a hold of Anthony. We wouldn't have got our man after we've taken the manager and we've taken the player of the season in Lisandro Martinez. So on this deal, one, Erik ten Hag can't be blamed, Anthony can't be blamed. Manchester United, it has gone, now there hasn't been any home games at Old Trafford, so we're going to obviously see the protests return, and rightfully so, but online it has gone a little bit quiet in regards to the Glazers out movement. So you could say the Glazers are doing exactly what they want in terms of there has been a lot of sort of hatred towards them, and rightly so. There has been a lot of sort of anger and frustration and sort of noise online. Suddenly, in the space of a week, we've signed Casemiro and Anthony, and this is why ultimately we're getting the players Erik ten Hag wants, so that is good. But it's the reason and it's the motive for these signings. 2 weeks ago, we'll sign an Arnautovic and Rabiot, and we didn't have enough money for them, or we didn't have enough money for Rabiot's package. We walked away from the deal, Arnautovic, for different reasons. So suddenly we didn't have enough money for Rabiot in terms of paying him, 300 grand a week. Now, I'm not saying we should have, but there was no money for that deal. It was too expensive. A week later, there's a little bit of pressure on the Glazers in terms of this Glazer out movement, and there's Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to buy the club or has an interest in buying the club, and within a week, we spend 60 million on Casemiro and 100 million on Anthony. I'm just saying, where was this money when we wanted Adrien Rabiot? And I feel this does not happen without the pressure on the Glazers. So I welcome the signing. I welcome the addition. Erik ten Hag gets his man. That's great. But I just question the motive behind the club allowing these funds out.
I don't want to vent too far away from the topic of the video, which is Anthony signing, what that means for United. But on the Glazer out movement, I've thought about this for the best part of a week. And I've seen some major accounts and big players, for lack of better term, on Twitter around, keep up the Glazer out movement. Don't show them that, signings mean that we're accepting it. It's also a lot of energy to ask people to retweet Glazers out every day on Twitter. That is not how you're going to remove the current regime. So this ideology that you putting a hashtag on Twitter is going to convince people who are worth billions to sell their business is stupidity of the ultimate order, Tom. Like, can we get that right, please? I mean, it's just a hashtag. For some reason, we have put in our heads that if we keep tweeting something every day, it's going to force them to sell. It doesn't. It doesn't. We need to remove that from our
Oh,
minds.
look, I'm not one to tweet it in regards to why I fully support the
and
message.
I take the point you're making. But I just want to make clear that, yes, the hashtags have slowed down, but these signings, irrespective, I mean, we're assuming that the Glazers are caving to pressure, but we don't know that
this
for
is
sure.
this is the point here. Ian brings up. I haven't read the full comment. I'll read it here. How do you know the pressure has changed the business? Were they just not the preference, and these are always plan B to execute? We have an agenda that always take one view only, just
Spot on.
impartial. Well, I would
Spot
say I go back to the Rabiot point. If we sign Adrian Rabiot, which the club wanted to, sign Adrian Rabiot. John Murtaugh was in Turin discussing finance. We didn't have the money to give him the wages he wanted. If we signed Adrian Rabiot,
did we not have the money to give him the wages he wanted, Tom? Or did United just say, we value the player at X, he's asking for Y? So
who's better? Who's better, Adrian Rabiot or Casemiro?
Casemiro, 100%.
Who's better and cheaper? There's two different ones here.
Yeah, Casemiro is better. More, but Casemiro is better. So he's worth more. He's worth spending that money. Tom,
so why was he below Rabiot on the list?
Well, we don't know that, though.
They went pretty hard. They were in Turin getting the deal done. There was no interest in Casemiro before that. Now, yes, we don't know behind the scenes, but ultimately we were this close to
get both of them. We don't know that.
That wasn't happening. No chance that was happening. No chance of getting Rabiot and Casemiro.
I can't answer that question. But what I can say is, now, I agree with you in principle. If John Murtaugh or the Scouts or Eric Ten Hag, in fact, decided that Rabiot is first choice over Casemiro, someone needs their brain check. Someone should go to Manchester local hospital, check themselves into the psychiatric ward, and get themselves assessed. I'm with you. But at the end of the day, let's just look at the facts in terms of what's in front of us, what players are here and what aren't here. If Cristiano Ronaldo and Rabiot are for sale, and Ronaldo wants 450 and Rabiot wants 450, I know who I'm putting the 450 towards. You know what I mean? Like, each person has their value. If someone's selling me a Toyota or a Mercedes for the same price or 10,000 more, I mean, I'm going for the Mercedes, unless you're a Toyota fanatic, which, I respect you for that. But you take my point. So, yes, I agree with you. Yes, I agree the Glazers should go out. And yes, the protest should continue. But I don't think we should get caught up in this idea of, because we are happy that a player is joining United, that we then suddenly have a sole responsibility to keep up a hashtag that is going to have no impact on anything.
Yeah, no, look, I see both sides of the point, both sides of the fence, and I think both sides are right. However, it's just one of those ones. I said this at the start of the window, and we had discussions and a little bit of a disagreement over John Murtaugh when he came in. You said you're liking what you were hearing. I said, well, I haven't really seen anything different. And I said, I think what will ultimately happen is we've got, unfortunately, and maybe some of this down to the current sort of mistake or previous mistakes in terms of the way our sort of squad has been built. You look at the situation surrounding Cristiano Ronaldo sort of thing, his future is dragging out all the way to the window. But my fear when John Murtaugh was in the pub making all these promises to these fans, I had a fear that it would be a last day, or deadline day sort of panic zone, like a Cavani, like an Agala. And I think we're very much, while we're getting players we do like, ultimately, we did have concerns over the Casemiro deal with it. Okay, good signing. Okay, this is the player we want, good footballer. Business-wise, what position does this put us in 3 years' time? Anthony, okay, good business. If we could have gone for 40 million at the start of the window, that's what he was touted around Europe for, maybe 50 or 60 million with the Man United tax, we could have got that deal done. Now we're spending 100 million on him. Is Eric Ten Hag and Anthony going to succeed? The money would suggest no. Just unfortunately, with the evidence that we have, ultimately, they're probably not going to succeed. Now, I pray to God I'm wrong. Now, after 2 years of spending 100 million on this player, what position is he going to be in, or what position is the club going to be in? And I just don't think, while I welcome the player, I think it's a great signing for the football team. Ultimately, it's the business side of things that is letting this football club down. And I think that is where it's going to hurt us.
No debate. And if we get, I said last night on this video, I said to you, Tom, next season, I promise you, we're going to have a transfer window similar to the one that mirrors Fred, Delo, Lee Grant. Guarantee it. Because that's how this board works. And we know it. And when we qualify for the Champions League next season, because that's what the Glazers aim for. They don't care for 21st title. They don't care for becoming Champions League champions once more. They don't care about that. As long as the cash cow's full and milking, they're happy. Can I say, though, I think we're on the long haul with the Glazers. I don't think the fact that Jim Ratcliffe's spokesperson came out and openly said he's interested in buying the club, these things take time, Tom. We're talking about a $6 billion business. I don't think we've heard the end of that. I don't know if the Glazers will be in charge in 12 months' time.
From what I know, with no financial expertise at all, it does look like if Ratcliffe is to get his foot in the door, it would start off with a very small stake in Manchester United with the view for in 5-10 years' time to take it over then. Now,
But
again, that might be completely wrong.
Even that would be a victory. And look, you know what? On the business perspective, I don't like the Glazers as much as anyone. I want them to leave United too. But some credit where it's due, with a pinch of salt. The fact that they are sounding out other businesses to get a stake in United, they've at least identified that they do not have the financial means to keep United at the top of European football. So they at least have identified that if they are going to be competitive,
because of their own doing.
I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. And the craziest thing is, there's actually, I don't know the intricacies, but there is at the moment a process to basically delegalize how they bought the club. So in 12 to 24 months' time, it will actually be illegal to buy a football club under a leveraged buyout, in which the Glazers did. But unfortunately, they took an opportunity and they took it. And
Ian here, and just pointing, we'll move on because Ian here says just move on and get behind the signings. Well, I think, and I'm not sure you're saying this to Larry and I, but we're fully behind the signing. But we will move on from the sort of business side of this, things that does bore me a little bit. We'll get on to football. Let's welcome them to the team and judge the business once we've given Erik ten Hag time. But that's the only thing. I think he mentions value earlier. The only time we can judge a signing, unfortunately, is when they leave the club. We don't want to see the new signings leave the club, but ultimately that is the only time you can judge if a signing was successful or not. But we'll move on to the footballer, Larry, and this maybe comes into the discussion we're having a little bit earlier in regards to Eredivisie to the Premier League and what that transition is like. Him as a player now, I think there was a comment earlier from Chris talking about how many times we actually watched Ajax play and watched him over 90 minutes compared to the highlights we do see on YouTube, which I'm sure everyone has sort of spent the last couple of hours watching. He's a fantastic footballer on YouTube, and I think my limited understanding and sort of knowledge of the player is that he will be like what we see on YouTube. He'll be exciting, and with that excitement comes huge frustration. Like you mentioned Nani earlier, I think he's going to have us on the edge of the seat. He's going to give us wonderful moments. When we have a bad game, I think he's going to be very frustrated. We're going to ask, is he cut out physically for the Premier League? I think these questions will remain throughout his career because his body type, the Brazilian winger, the media will be up for him from minute one. Won the price tag. And look, at the end of the day, he's got tattoos, he's got colour in his hair, he's not British. So we know there's certain pundits which will be gunning for him straight away. He will, even unfortunately amongst the fan base, there is a certain section of this fan base which won't like young, skillful, tricky foreign players, unfortunately. So he is going to have a target on his back. And you just hope that Erik ten Hag obviously has that close relationship with him. So when he does go through a tough spell, which eventually will happen, hopefully not for a while, and hopefully never, but when he does go through that tough spell, he does have the tools around him to get through it and succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Nani's a really interesting comparison. When Nani was on song, I can't tell you, with the exception of Ronaldo, I can't tell you another player that excited me more than Nani over the last 10 years. In terms of when he was on, he was unplayable. You know, it's a lazy term when commentators and pundits would refer to a player and say, oh, he's unplayable on his day. He's unplayable on his day. I've seen it mentioned about like Paul Pogba, who, yes, admittedly, when he was at his absolute best, yes, he could be unplayable. I think Antony at his best is unplayable because those sorts of players, those flair players, they don't know what they're going to do. So good luck trying to coach defenders on what they're going to do. I think the concern with me, Tom, and I guess I put the question back to you, are you concerned that he's too one-footed? Is he too predictable? Is he pure left foot, purely cuts in? Or do you think he's got enough variety in his game to trouble defenders?
It's one of those parts having a debate with a guy at work in terms of, we always say when a player's on the ball and he's left foot, we say he's only got a left foot, show him on his right foot. We never say a player's only got a right foot. It's an interesting sort of way we do sort of value that. And yes, he only has a left foot. Now, I'm sure he has scored goals with his right foot, I'm sure. But at the moment, when you look at him, yes, he only has a left foot. However, what a left foot. Lionel Messi has a left foot. Maradona only had a left foot. Now, I'm not comparing him to those players. And Kevin De Bruyne, now, yes, actually, well, Kevin De Bruyne is probably the worst example. He can hit a ball with his left foot. David Beckham only had a right foot in terms of sort of making a comparison in this argument. So it wouldn't be a concern to me in regards to that. Is a very modern day thing. You look at the current players who've killed it for Manchester City in terms of that style of player. Not a style of player, but it may be similar build in regards to a David Silva, a Bernardo Silva, etc. One of my favourite players over the last couple of years, Juan Mata, etc. Yes, it is potentially a concern, but it can also be a strength. If he does play on that right, if Diogo Dalot develops a relationship with him and he's been able to overlap, well, that's his right foot. Okay, he doesn't have to use his right foot himself. He's got that option of another player in Diogo Dalot. You talk about unplayable there. I'll just bring it up in regards to, you talk about Nani being unplayable. The one for me who was unplayable was a little bit off topic, Antonio Valencia. That 11-12 season on the right wing, he was literally unplayable. But in regards to Anthony making that transition into the Premier League, I just think you compare him to Nani in regards to the excitement and the style of play, and especially on the wing. Nani had that ability to use a bit of skill but go past people. Now, Anthony does have that. He does look rapid. He does look fast, but almost in that mold of Jadon Sancho, I have questions in regards to, it's not so much speed that goes past players. I just mentioned in Antonio Valencia. What got Valencia past players was the power. And I just don't know in the Premier League if Anthony has that power to be able to sort of go past players at ease on the wing. And I just think that is where he's potentially, in terms of the way he's going to play the game, like Anani, he's going to be exciting, but not going to be exciting in regards to going past people. He's going to be a very creative type player, cutting in, sort of linking up with forwards, linking up with midfielders, etc. So just how do you see him sort of occupying that right-hand space? Is he someone who's going to hug the touchline and sort of get past players, or do you think he's going to come in at side and create?
I think he can do both. And the thing that I like about him, there was some footage that came out from the match he, look, with all due respect to the opposition, I don't know who it was, but just saw. Did you see that bit of trickery where he got in between two defenders? I mean, his
YouTube highlights are unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I know it sounds lazy, but at the end of the day, YouTube highlights or not, your average footballer can't do those things. That it takes ability to get in between.
Do you think he has, like, in regards to, I work with a few Brazilian guys, Brazilian footballers, and having discussions about these young Brazilian players coming through, and some make that trip over to Europe early. Look at Vinicius Jr., look at Gabriel Jesus, had a big reputation. Obviously, look, Neymar had a great career in Brazil, then walked over to Barcelona. Just thinking Anthony, he isn't quite in that regard in terms of being that next sort of superstar like a Neymar. However, they're saying he's in that next bracket. Like, he has the potential. And I'm not talking about Brazil or world football, but in regards to Old Trafford, if it clicks at Manchester United and Man United do well, Erik ten Hag and the player himself do well, his style of play and the way he goes about his business, he will be a superstar in regards to giving the number 7 shirt, the number 11 shirt, whatever. I think if it goes right, he has the potential to be an absolute star at Old Trafford. And that is, again, that throws into the excitement of the arrival.
Yeah, I'm with you. And not just that. I mean, if you're talking about United purely commercially, straight up the Glazers avenue, United haven't had that Brazilian superstar. I think they craved Ronaldinho, and they really did want that to happen. What year was that? Was it 2003?
Well, when Ronaldo missed out, Ronaldinho had pretty much signed, then had a change of heart, went to Barcelona, and Ronaldo came in.
That's the thing. I think if you're thinking, like, United are massive in Asia, that's obvious. Big in Australia, big in the US. I think the one that eludes them is South America. So if they can get a star from South America to absolutely kill it, I think commercially it'll do wonders for the club as well. So,
well, I think Ed Woodward's main target over the last decade has been Neymar. Now, it hasn't eventuated in a bid, but Neymar has always been top of Ed Woodward's list.
That's the thing. So, and you have to remember, and I know, fans might not want to hear this, people in the comments might not want to hear this, United don't put up that sort of money if they don't see a commercial value in the player. This guy, he's got the look, he dyes his hair blonde, he's got some cool tattoos, but he's South American. And if he kills it, if he does well, and he's got the ability to do well, there's definitely a commercial benefit for United. You can see it now. If he has a banger of a season, he's the one front and center of next season's jersey release. So it's a good signing for. I hope he kills it, obviously. And I guess let's bring it back in terms of the success. What is a successful season for Anthony? The transfer.
Well, it was my next point. You just, in the point you just bring up earlier, sort of alludes to that. Elliot, good mate of mine. Good to see you, mate. Hope you are keeping well. I'm meeting up with him in a couple of weeks for a beverage. Evening, lads. Really hope Anthony doesn't go through what Sancho did when he joined. Just in regards to that first season, do you have expectations or potential? Well, we've sort of maybe not questioned, but had raised concerns over his character in regards to the way he's gone about this transfer and sort of forcing this move through to Manchester United. Now, one, I could sit here with a bit of positivity and say, I'm good. I mean, he's desperate to join Manchester United. Now, if I'm an Ajax fan, I'm calling him unprofessional for the way he's gone about things. But in regards to, do you think the £100 million price tag placed on his head could potentially sort of weigh on him, or do you think Erik ten Hag wouldn't be bringing someone in if that was potentially going to be the case?
Whether it's confidence or ignorance or a little bit of both, you don't go onto an interview with the world's most famous football journalist and say, the club I am currently at have the largest transfer fee for an Eredivisie player and they should let me go. You just don't. So that tells me this guy doesn't care about the price tag. He's obviously relishing in it. Another player that relished in it is Memphis Depay. So that's where I'm a little bit... Memphis Depay came from Eredivisie. He was a flary winger. He was the next Ronaldo, and it all went to crap pretty quickly. So I hope I'm wrong, obviously. I think Ten Hag will keep Antony in check. And obviously, he's moving heaven and earth to get his player, so that's what gives you confidence. But he's going to face some difficult battles. He asked the fan base, get behind him, because don't be surprised if he starts slow. I think for a flair player, it's tricky. They'll either hit the ground running, or it can take him a little bit of time. Jadon Sancho took a bit, and he's still taking time. So,
the stage is set for him. It looks like his first game... assuming this deal obviously does get confirmed and completed, it looks like his first game could be at home to Arsenal. The stage is set. No better way to introduce yourself to Man United fans. Justin, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Sometimes playing players on the opposite side, the preferred foot helps them cut inside to make impact using their preferred foot to shoot. I think that is definitely a thing now. I'm old school. I like a right-sided player on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, but obviously that is the way, and obviously Erik ten Hag views football, I think. Do you think then, there's one or two comments I would sort of want to go into before we start to wrap up with one final point? Starting 11s, we'll throw all these sort of ideals. What do we think's happening? Obviously, it goes around the Cristiano Ronaldo situation, which is my last point. Marcus Rashford or Jadon Sancho, who's more in doubt? Because I think it's a straight swap. I think Jadon Sancho moves from the right to the left-hand side, and I think I'm in a minority. I know everyone said that we brought Jadon Sancho in as a right winger. He's better on the right. I actually think I do like him on the right. Probably prefer that. As I said, I do like right footers. Ultimately, I think his best football does come from the left. And in terms of what Erik ten Hag wants, we're seeing what he wants with Antony on the right, cutting in. Jadon Sancho on the left will cut in onto his right foot. I think Jadon Sancho moves over, and it's Marcus Rashford potentially. Maybe Rashford could find himself down the middle if Ronaldo leaves. But in regards to those two wing spots, I think it's Sancho and Antony.
I agree with you. I think Rashford and Antony, in terms of their attributes, are very similar. They're both flary, pacey, dribbling players who like to cut inside. In terms of balance, I think Sancho can probably give you a bit more. But in saying that, based on current form, I would probably... It's a really difficult one. I think Rashford's looked good when he's played on the left this season so far. Remove the Brentford game. When he played on the left against Liverpool, he played well. And I think he's a bit more... I think Rashford... Let me ask you this. If you're a defender, if you're a right back, who puts more fear into you? An informed Rashford or an informed Sancho? Because for me, it's Rashford. You can't...
as a defender, which makes no sense. I think Sancho's a far better footballer. As a defender, it's Rashford. It's pace. I think every footballer has talked about pace being the issue. If someone's playing in front of you, you're fine. Okay, they might kill you eventually. Yeah. But you're not in any danger. Okay, it's someone else's problem when they pass it off. But I think when you're defending pace, especially if you know they're quicker than you, you're in trouble. And it's not even them getting in behind; it's the threat of them getting in behind which really does you.
Yeah, 100. And that's the thing. I just think if Rashford hits his best form, I think Rashford edges Sancho, which is crazy because I'm with you. I think Sancho's the better footballer. But when Rashford's in form, I think he can give you more in terms of goals and assists. So it'll be interesting. It'll challenge both of those players. But I actually think he'll prefer Rashford on the left. I think Sancho might be the one to sit out. I really do.
Well, at the end of the day, it's a good problem to have for the manager. If Rashford starts playing well and Sancho can't get into the team, well, that's good. That means Rashford's playing well and he's sort of contributing sort of positively to Man United and Erik ten Hag. But speaking of Erik's, good to see Erik back in the live chat with a lovely contribution. Really appreciate that, mate. Absolute legend. Let's go, fellas. Don't think Antony's worth this high price, but excited nonetheless. Let's back Erik ten Hag, which at the end of the day couldn't agree more in regards to, unfortunately, and again, I welcome this one. I absolutely love what he's going to bring Manchester United, and I want to stay away from this price tag. But at the end of the day, and here we all sit here say it's not our money. Who cares? Spend what it takes. He's just not worth that money. And I'm just thinking, is this going to hurt Manchester United? Like, in terms of, is it going to hurt the player? We discussed his capability to deal with the pressure. But ultimately, here we are saying, we don't care about the money. But here we are half an hour later discussing it like mad.
Yeah, I'm with you. But I hope he kills it, Tom. I hope he kills it. Let me ask you this. Let's look forward. We've obviously got Leicester midweek. Let's cast an eye to the Arsenal match. If you're United, you got your big signing. Does he go straight into the starting lineup for you? Or do you think
for this Leicester match?
Sorry?
For this Leicester match?
No. After that, he won't be ready for Leicester. Yeah. But you have to think for Arsenal, he's ready to go. Do you put him straight into the starting lineup? Do you think there'll be a demand to do that?
For an Arsenal game, in terms of the buzz around the ground, I think that's a no-brainer. I think you have to throw him straight in. Assuming he's fit, we obviously know Erik ten Hag's thoughts in regards to playing players who are fit. Now, he obviously knows the system, maybe not at Manchester United's level, but he knows what Erik ten Hag wants from that sort of position on the field. So I think if he's fit, now, who knows what situation we're in a week's time. It will be interesting to see what the makeup of the squad. And my question I'll throw to you as a final point in Cristiano Ronaldo. Here we are, another day, another Ronaldo discussion. Do you think he's going to stay? Do you think he's going to go? I'm sure our opinions will change by the end of this show. However, everyone's saying, okay, Ronaldo can go now because we've got Antony, or Antony's only going to come in if Ronaldo leaves. They're not the same position. Now, yes, it's a lot of money in terms of, okay, we're freeing up some wages and a little bit of a transfer fee, which has afforded Manchester United to go and get Antony. However, one's on the right wing, one's a target man. It's simply not a case of replacing Ronaldo. However, I don't know. It kind of sounds like it very well could be.
Where does Ronaldo go? That's the thing.
No, that's the discussion we've been having.
He's staying. Where does he go?
Napoli, that's why I think he just stays through no fault of it, or not through no trying of it, through no sort of lack of trying on his end. I just think ultimately he'll run out of time, and someone won't be able to get that deal across. However, what I would say is we all want to see Antony with the shirt up, holding the shirt. I don't think they're going to do it until last-minute deadline day, because there's no way. This is a big signing. Now, we might bring in a Dubravka, we might bring in a right back, of course. This is the big signing. Now, what can't happen is them unveil Antony today and say, here's our new signing, and then on deadline day lose Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, it might be good for the team in regards to that. However you view that, that might be a good thing. However, PR-wise for Manchester United, that doesn't look like you're replacing Ronaldo. If you bring in the player first and then lose Ronaldo, it doesn't look like, even if we're going to striker today, if you lose Ronaldo on the last day, it doesn't look like you've replaced him. Now you might replace him perfectly, but from a PR point of view, that's not the case. So I think we're going to hold on to this Antony deal for a while, see what happens with Ronaldo. If Ronaldo leaves, he's our replacement in Antony. Now he's not a football replacement, but the sort of eye-catching signing replaces Ronaldo. And then obviously if Ronaldo stays, obviously unveil him however you feel fit. But just how do you think this impacts the Ronaldo situation? Because yes, we all sit here and agree that like for like it doesn't make sense, or it's not a replacement. But in regards to numbers in that attacking third, if Rashford and Martial are potential striking options, it could be the replacement.
If Ronaldo stays, I like our attacking options. I mean, looking at where we were for match day one, if we go into the heart of the season with Martial, Ronaldo as your striker options, ideally, look, I would have liked another striker option with or without Antony. But if those are your strikers, then you've got Antony, Sancho, potentially for the right, and Alenga. And then on the left-hand side, you've got Sancho, Rashford, Alenga as option. I don't think that's too bad. It's not the best in the league, but I think it's competitive. If Ronaldo leaves, though, I still think we look really thin up front. Well, we don't. Not a matter of thinking. We are thin up front. So
yeah, we're thin with him there anyway. And ultimately, you lose your top goal scorer. You're going to have to replace someone or get goals in. And again, Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford in their best season, yes, they can replace those goals. Can we expect them to have their best season? I'm not sure.
It's a difficult one. Let me ask you this, though. Ten Hag has come in. He benches Ronaldo for Liverpool. He puts him on, in the 85th minute? We then have a game last season. His striker, Martial, was going to start. Let's not kid ourselves. Comes up with an injury, and he still benches Ronaldo for Alenga. Yeah. It's a power play from Ten Hag. Forget what he says in the press conference. He's telling Ronaldo to leave, as far as I'm concerned.
Not only that, look, I like how he's handled the Ronaldo situation. While I disagree, I think with one or two team selections in regards to Ronaldo, I like what he's done there. Not so much the Ronaldo one, which obviously is maybe more so of a power play and a statement. But I think Harry Maguire, the dealing with Harry Maguire, okay, came in, kept him on side, kept him the captain, started a few games, but ultimately sort of has gone with his preferred back four or preferred options in that. And that is where I think other managers in Solskjaer and Ralph Rangnick struggled with Harry Maguire. And Eric Ten Hag has seemingly solved that issue after 2 or 3 games. So I think Eric Ten Hag, in terms of managing the players in this squad, has pretty much got it nailed on. And I think he's been so heavily criticised, or he's under so much scrutiny, Eric Ten Hag is in the media. But I think he's done a brilliant job so far this season. Emad here saying in regards to he hasn't trained for a week's bench until fit, which is, I agree. I think that could potentially happen now. Yes, he does know the system, but he hasn't been playing for Ajax. And we do look at how Eric Ten Hag, Casemiro didn't come in. Casemiro has been playing, and he didn't come in and start that game. So I think that while we do want the excitement of Antony sort of making his debut from the start against Arsenal, the betting man is probably right in saying that he could be off, coming off the bench. But Viking here saying Ronaldo has to be realistic and realise the situation, which ultimately that stage does have to come in his career. Would like it to come now. And as I said, I hate bringing it up. It seems I make this point every single show, Larry. If it was Football Manager or FIFA and you didn't have to deal with Ronaldo's baggage, you didn't have to deal with the wages, you didn't have to deal with his personality and his ambition, it'd be perfect for Eric Ten Hag. Okay, 70th minute, Old Trafford, 0-0, you can't find a goal. Martial and Rashford aren't fine. Ronaldo, come on. It would be an absolute ideal.
He won't take it.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
the problem.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you're Ronaldo, and I understand his desire and his work rate, and he's a 30-year-old in a 37-year-old's body and all of that, but he has to accept that. Look at the fact his agent has worked tirelessly to shop him around all of Europe, and he can't get a start for Sydney FC, Tom. So if you're Cristiano Ronaldo, regardless of your goal contribution or not, there has to be a level of exception to say.
Do you think there's maybe a case, though, he does have the acceptance, he just wears his heart on his sleeve, he shows emotion, but managers just cave to him. And just see every player, even if they do accept it, if asked to play, they want to play. Like, just no manager has really stood up to him.
I don't know. But you say that, but he clearly hasn't accepted it. That's why he's pushing so hard to leave. And that's
I don't think he's pushing because he's not getting football at Man United. I think that it was clear.
He wants Champions League. I understand that. But the fact that, okay, here's the thing. If no club is willing to sign him, then that means they're not willing to start him. I mean, the Napoli link, so I don't know if you've been following this story. Sorry, I don't know the striker's name. George Mendes represents Mendes represents him. He's been trying to orchestrate this deal where Ronaldo comes one way and sorry, what was his name? Osimhen comes the other way. Osimhen comes to United. And from what I've seen in terms of Osimhen, good numbers, good striker, good age profile for United. Napoli would want reportedly around 100 million euro for him. But the fact that Napoli are not willing to entertain that tells you, in terms of hierarchy, if both players were in their squad, they know who they value more. Ronaldo's a goal scorer, but he doesn't fit into systems. If you want to play a high-energy system, Ronaldo doesn't fit. You tell me, what top sides in Europe, outside of Roma, because Mourinho sticks with his principles, what top side in Europe doesn't play a high-energy, high-pressing style football?
Yeah, no, in regards to the argument, I think it's hard when and you're right in saying no one, well, you're right and wrong. In regards to saying no one wants Ronaldo. I think every club wants to take Ronaldo. It's a few it's a few complexities that come with it. One, you're going to have to pay him triple whatever any other player at your club is on. That's an issue. One, what type of contract you put on him in regards to how much sort of time does he have left. So I think all these clubs do want Ronaldo. It's just hang on, well, do we want him that badly? Like maybe they do, but they just don't have the funds. And I'm just thinking, I think we throw that out at Ronaldo saying, oh, no one wants him as if he's no good. Well, no, he's still... Like, there's a question here from Chris saying, what is he won Champions League for unless he's going to a big club, unless he's going to go to a big club, he's not going to win it. And that is my first thing with Cristiano Ronaldo here, saying, well, if he's going to go to Napoli, they're not going to win. If he's going to go to Sporting Lisbon, they're not going to win it. All these clubs have been bandied out. And I say, yeah, that seems stupid. However, it seems that his ambition is this Champions League goal record that he has over Lionel Messi. He doesn't want Lionel Messi having an extra season where he's going to sort of close that goal stat, which, yes, you do shake your head. I shake my head as well. However, I think, what is that type of mentality? Then I think, well, that's the mentality that's made him the greatest footballer ever. And I just think, who are we to shake our heads? Like, yes, I do. I share the shaking of the head, but that's who he is. That's unfortunately, what makes him who he is.
All right, I tell you what. Take your United goggles off. I know that's really hard. You're wearing a red shirt. But I want you to fast forward 2 years' time. Let's assume, because Ronaldo's got an option for 1 more year at United, right? I want you to picture, I know maybe it's not realistic. Ronaldo, imagine the retweets. Glazers, if Joel Glazer ever gets a glimpse of this video, I want you to think of something. They're all about social media interactions, right? Okay, you tell me this. I want you to picture the caption, 21st title, or 21 times Ronaldo holding the Premier League trophy. What does that do for Ronaldo's legacy? Or let me complicate this a little bit more. Ronaldo in the picture, Antony in the picture, Marcus Rashford in the picture, Ronaldo's front square and center in the middle. 21, he's holding the Premier League trophy. The first trophy that United have won the Premier League since Sir Alex Ferguson retired 11 years.
We have a lot of wants, but not just Cristiano Ronaldo's ambition of playing the Champions League. He also has worked with his squad. He knows how far away this squad is from winning things. He knows that's not a possibility.
With Antony in there, I mean, you look at this squad now with Antony coming in. Oh, is that squad that far away anymore?
We get excited as fans, though. We get excited over this, and then next week when we sign another right back, we think, yes, this is the team. Ultimately, this is the same group of players on the whole, and the club in a general that has let us down so many times over the past. Now, hopefully things do improve under Erik ten Hag. I'm sure there will be an improvement. But ultimately, we do get let down. These players, like Roy Keane says, they do show their true colours eventually throughout a season. Now, I do share the excitement. I want everyone to embrace it. But we're not at the same level of Liverpool and City.
Look at our starting 11 from the last match.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good on paper.
I know we signed Varane last season, but he didn't really play, right? So you look at that. You look at the 11. I'm just going to list out a few names that are already not in the squad anymore. Varane, Lisandro Martinez, Malacia. 3 of the back 4 have been replaced from last season. Maguire, Lindelof, and Wan-Bissaka are not mainstays. Luke Shaw. Okay? You then go into midfield. It's going to be Casemiro and Eriksen. You've replaced McTominay and Fred as first choice. You then look at the 3 in front of them. Bruno Fernandes stays, Marcus Rashford or Jadon Sancho and Antony. You've upgraded. We didn't have options there last season. And then up front, if Martial maintains what he's done so far in what I've seen in preseason and a cameo against Liverpool, got a hell of a player. I'm hopeful.
Look,
you need a few things before you wait. But I'm hopeful.
Of course, as a fan, you have every right to be hopeful. And the tools are there to sort of to give us that little bit of hope. But ultimately, okay, Casemiro does all. He comes in. Again, business-wise, what position are we in 2 or 3 years? Do we have the tools to go out and replace him, or are we going to be stuck with a 37-year-old defensive midfielder on high wages, which we're just playing because he's there? And David De Gea leaves. Okay, have we replaced him with the world's best goalkeeper? Or have we replaced him like Pep Guardiola did and got Claudio Bravo in, who was woeful? Is Erik ten Hag going to have 2 or 3 experiments with the goalkeeping situation? I just think that there's a few people, and look, I do understand it and share the potential for excitement and hope. If everyone does click and we play like we did against Liverpool 38 times a season, yes, we're going to win the league. But ultimately, unfortunately, my feeling is we'll play like that 10 times a season. And ultimately, that's not good enough to win the league, where I think Ian makes the point here. City do it over 38 games, and that is the difference. And that is ultimately what wins you titles, not being good for just in certain games. But there was one, Larry, Sully here saying 21 is coming, Larry. And Ian here saying Bruno will upgrade him. So we'll be interested to see what happens with Bruno now, because Christian Eriksen, I think, has made it very steady.
Tom. Behave yourself.
No, well, okay, he's got the match-winning goal, Bruno Fernandes. Look, I'm no bigger fan of Bruno Fernandes than myself.
But don't finish that sentence. Come on.
Look, there's no bigger fan of. Yeah, there's no bigger fan of Bruno Fernandes than me. I'm just thinking in regards to the dynamic Casemiro will introduce into that midfield. Okay, at the moment, is Christian Eriksen worth dropping? Maybe an Erik ten Hag size, but maybe not. Now Casemiro is going to play. Now, what else does he want in that midfield? Does he want the energy of Fred and McTominay? Does he want a new signing? At the moment, yes, Bruno Fernandes picks himself. But at the moment, it will be interesting to see over the course of a season how that does unfold. But anything else you do want to touch on before we do wrap up, especially in regards to the Antony situation? Anything that I missed?
What number does he wear?
11.
That's a big question. I'm just wondering, if you're United, do you dare try and throw the number 11 shirt at him?
I wouldn't be
I think so.
surprised. I think that they're trying to bury that Greenwood thing, and if I say rightly or wrongly, I think in terms of the way they're going about it, I think that would be the first sort of nail in the coffin of Mason Greenwood, and I think that they would do that.
I'm with you. Betting man, I'm going to say 11. If Ronaldo leaves, there's a case. Maybe Sancho takes the 7 then. I don't know.
Well, Ronaldo's played in the 7 shirt this season. I'm not sure. Maybe someone in the live chat could remind me if someone has played in the shirt. I think when Edison Cavani had the 7 shirt,
you're right. Yeah.
Potentially, I'm not sure. There might be technicalities in regards to
file for an exception.
But that is where I do believe, again, going back to the PR thing, Antony's not going to be announced until the Ronaldo situation is resolved. Because if Ronaldo does leave, okay, replace him with that Man United's new number 7. So that is where I don't think we're going to unveil Antony anytime soon. I think it will be, unfortunately. Well, ultimately it doesn't make a difference because he can't play in his Leicester match. Transfer deadline day does close on that match day. But it will be interesting to see. Obviously, very exciting. I'm not sure if exciting is the word. Busy. Couple of days for Manchester United in regards to, we do have that Leicester match, which we'll do a preview on Wednesday night. And probably after the match, I got Friday morning off. Maybe after the match, instead of a match review, we might just go live and maybe just watch that clock tick down on Sky Sports and see who we do bring in. Maybe it isn't Antony. Maybe he's just getting the final paperwork over the line, or hopefully some new additions, maybe in the right back spot or potential goalkeeping spot, Larry.
Well, there was, oh man, I saw it earlier. Forgive me. There was a London-based football journalist who looked like they were reliable, saying Wan-Bissaka to Palace looks like it's on. So
I saw that. That's good. Now, look, I'm not. I actually like Wan-Bissaka, but ultimately, I think maybe his time has sort of run its course at Manchester United. My concern there is he'll go on loan. Man United will be covering the wages, and we'll think, what is the point? Might as well just keep him.
I don't know.
And then if we're keeping him, we're thinking, well, why aren't we getting rid of these players? Why is he taking up the spot of someone else? So there is, unfortunately, that is off the back of signing of a 50 million. When
Did
we didn't have
Ethan
to.
Ladd end up going on loan? Or is
He's been playing for QPR. Apparently playing quite well.
Oh no, see, that's the one I would have liked to see given an opportunity. But if Wan-Bissaka goes, who do United have to be a backup right back?
Well, it does look like the rumours are that if there is an announcement or there is an arrival on deadline day, it is potentially around that right back situation. Now, you think if that was the case, there'd be a little bit more noise around personnel and who that player is. But hasn't seen that as of yet. But as I said, make sure you are subscribed. So there will be a Leicester preview in 2 days on Wednesday night Sydney time, Wednesday morning UK time, and obviously we'll be live a bit after the Leicester match on Friday morning Sydney time. Obviously Thursday kickoff in the UK, but hopefully everyone did a bit of a debate there today in regards to, it should have been all positive in regards to welcoming Antony to Manchester United, but it does throw up a few talking points in regards to finances and his style of play himself. But Larry, pleasure.
Brandon Williams is still at the club. Jesus.
Well, there was players. There was Brandon Williams, Phil Jones, and one other player who all picked up injuries, preventing them from transfers this window.
Wow. Brandon Williams,
one other player.
He could be back up.
Yeah, no. Well, he's one player we said, when Eric Ten Hag came in, said, okay, what's the situation with Brandon Williams? Had a quite, I wouldn't call it successful, but did okay by his standards on his loan. He thought, well, maybe there's a chance here. And I think he was one of the first players pictured back at Carrington, I think when he met Christian Eriksen sort of thing. So I think that is what stemmed a little bit of that debate. But look, I like Brandon Williams, but that is obviously a discussion for another day. But until then, as I said, hopefully everyone enjoyed that. Please do leave a like on the video on your way out, and we'll be back on Wednesday for a Leicester preview. Casemiro starts, doesn't he, Larry?
Oh, easily.
We say that. Who knows what Eric Ten Hag is thinking? But make sure you tune in then. Until then, have a good one, guys, and we'll chat to you. Cheers.
Cheers.